It's the Danger Show podcast, sponsored by our friends at National Armory in Moon Township. They're online at naguns.com. Also, Sierra Experts. We do IT differently, online at sierraexperts.com. Our guest today is a legendary high school football coach that's coming home. And Coach Palko, I'm going to let this speak for itself right here. This is Sports Illustrated. This is the headline. A coaching legend comes out of retirement to lead his alma mater, West Allegheny. Welcome to the show, Coach Bob Palko.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
And you've been practicing today, right? Didn't when we were trying to set up this interview, you were like, "Hey, man, we're hard at work."
Yeah, it's HEDAC, heat acclimation, where acclimatization is what they call it, HEDAC for short. But, we're allowed X number of hours on the field, certain days of the week. And so, yeah, it's been good.
So you coached at West Allegheny, which is where you went to high school, and won 8 Whitfield championships there, including a overall state championship. Then you left in 2018. Before we get to that, though, I want to I've known you a long time. Actually, I moved here from my hometown of Memphis, Tennessee in 2002, and I rented a townhome over in a little neighborhood called Hawthorne. In North Fayette. And right off the Imperial exit, there was a sign. So it was 2002, right? There was a sign up that said, West Allegheny State Champions 2001. So I was like, man, that was like this past year. So here I am. I launched a show on Froggy Radio in Pittsburgh. That's when we launched that radio station.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Yep.
And I said, well, man, I'm going to try to call that coach. Called the school. You called back. I had you on the radio. You were first year I was on the radio here. And over the years, you were always gracious enough to talk whenever I called. And I appreciate that. And I appreciate you. I launched this podcast this summer, being a guest today too, because you truly are a legendary coach. And it's an honor to have you on. You even won, and we're going to talk about all this. I have some headlines I want to show, but you even won high school coach of the year for the entire country one year. And right after you did that, you came on my show. I asked and you said yes. So I really appreciate that, Coach.
Sure. I mean, listen, I try to do as many of these as possible. And, I don't know. I don't think I'm that interesting, but hey, if people want to talk, I'm all for it.
The thing I remember, and I don't want to steal one of your quotes for this podcast, but when you won the National Coach of the Year award back in 2021 or into 2021, into 2022, I had you on and I asked to be the high school football coach of the year for the entire country. What's the key to your success? And I never forget the quote. You said your players have to know you love them. You didn't say great defense. You didn't say one game at a time. You didn't say score more points than the other team. You said the players got to know you love them. So that stuck with me. And and I've read other interviews, and that's kind of your theme, right, Coach?
Yeah. I mean, you can't do this alone. I mean, we haven't been successful in the past just because of me. I mean, it takes a village, and it takes a staff, and it takes, a lot of people to do the right things. But at the end of the day, the one thing I can control is that the kids understand and know that I care about them and I love them and I want to do what's best for them. But again, I think the best thing that we do, though, is we tell the kids what they need to hear, not what they might want to hear, but what they need to hear. And that's, sometimes part of having tough conversations, but, at least they know that I'm consistent and that I do care about them and I want the best for each and every one of them. And just, and people have different, people have different paths they take, everything isn't going to be the same for everybody. And sometimes they got to be more patient and sometimes they never get what they want, but they sure can work toward it and they can sure be a part of something that's bigger and better than just themselves. So.
Well, you're right. Every coach isn't the same, right? And there's different ways to win. There was Bobby Knight who threw chairs on the court, and he won a national championship. But I've been blessed in my career to talk to a lot of successful people, whether they were in country music or sports. And I think that, you have to have a plan, right? A system. And then you got to have a lot of passion. And especially in coaching, though, that you got to have the ability to, and I think this is where the players got to know you love them comes in. You got to be able to get them to buy in to your system, right?
Exactly right. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it really takes a lot of trust. Again, a lot of these kids don't know me, and they've had other people coaching them, but so this senior class coming in. I mean, as I told him, I said, the sooner we can trust each other, the sooner we'll start to see results of of trying to do things. But again, this isn't about winning. Winning kind of is a byproduct. Everybody wants to put like a successful program as well by wins and losses. And quite frankly, I don't know how accurate and how much that means. Now, it doesn't mean that we don't want to win and you don't try to win, but sometimes the other team's just better than you. So, and sometimes that's hard to swallow too. But there's nothing wrong with playing a game and walking across the field, shaking the hand, and say, "Hey, listen, man, you whooped us today. Congratulations, good luck to you," and move on. And sometimes that's hard for people, but that's life too, because you're not going to win everything in life. Every day is not going to be a victory.
Well, you've done a lot of winning, and we're going to get to some of those stats here in a second, but we're talking to West Allegheny head football coach Bob Palko. He's back at West A this year. And I did a little bit, like I said, I've known you for a while, and I've had the opportunity living nearby to crack up on a few beers with you occasionally at musical events and things like that. But I didn't know, and I did a little research before this podcast. You were actually raised right here in West Allegheny. Went to West Allegheny High School, played football there. So, and
married my wife's from here. She was probably the best. She's probably the best athlete in the family.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's this is home, man. This is home. We raised our family here. We both were raised here. We raised our children here. And went other places.
Ready.
What's that?
You said your wife's the best athlete in your family. I was prepared for this, Coach.
Yeah.
This is preparation. I'm trying to impress you today. Your son, Tyler Palko, won a state championship for you in 2001 as the quarterback. He was part of the team that won it. Went on to play at Pitt and the NFL. Your son, Luke, played college football and is currently a scout for the Arizona Cardinals. Your daughter, Amy, played college volleyball.
Yeah.
And then your wife, Sally, played sports as well. And I got a story that you two both went to Montana to play. You played football and she played, was it what basketball?
She played hoops. Yeah, basketball.
So this really is a sports family over there at the Palko household.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, that's what takes up our time. Yeah, it doesn't mean we're, but it's good. It's we enjoy it and think it's a good way to, but again, youth athletics wasn't what it was back then like it is now. So I don't know. I don't know if I could have handled this stuff.
It's different now, right?
Yeah, very different. I got grandkids now, so I get to watch my grandkids go through it, and it's just very interesting. I just stay out in the outfield, keep my mouth shut.
I coach rec leagues and stuff over near Oakdale. My kids were, since they were smaller, I would coach basketball and things like that. And boy, it just seems like the whole world has ADHD now. Before it was like a few kids did. And I think everyone does. And I think it's these right here that caused it. How do you cut through that?
Yeah, it's just, I think we've lost the, what it's about. It's not about like everybody now is the younger and younger. I mean, I've never seen so many Little League kids have sliding gloves and walk-up songs. And I mean, I'm like going, wow, Jesus.
Their own TikTok page.
Yeah. I mean, meanwhile, I have no social media, so I don't even know what goes on. But yeah, it's different. It's different. But again, it's still like it's still I think athletics is one way. It's an avenue to teach life lessons, and to me, that's what this is truly all about.
So you coached a lot of games at West Allegheny. Your record when you left West A at the end of the 2010s was 217 wins, 73 losses, 8 Whitfield titles, and 1 overall state championship. And the overall state championship was with your son on the team, Tyler.
Yeah, him and both of them were on there. Yeah, Luke was
Oh,
on
Luke
it.
was
Luke is a junior. Ty was a senior. Yeah.
so Tyler was a quarterback and Luke was a wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
So the Palko connection was all over the field that year.
Yeah, maybe not as quite as much as they both wanted it to be, but again, yes, it was there. But we were efficient with it.
So you growing up in West Allegheny, going to high school there, you moved away to go to college in Montana,
Yep.
and how long were you away before you came back to West A or came back to
4
the
years.
Pittsburgh area?
Yeah,
How long?
4 years, and then 4. Yeah, 4 years,
Okay.
and then I came back, and then I went right up to IUP and started coaching.
And then what year did you take the job at West A the first time?
So I got back. So let's see. West A the first time was 95. So I was an assistant from when I got out of there. So like 1983, right, to 1995, I was an assistant at a couple different places. Spent a lot of time at Jeanette. I was at Seton LaSalle. I was at Duquesne University. I was at IUP. And then I took
Paying
the
your
job
dues.
at West Allegheny in 95.
I think it's so important for people to hear that. We're talking to a legendary coach, one of the winningest coaches in Whitfield history. And you just a dozen years you spent as an assistant paying your dues.
Yeah, it was was what you did. It was great. It was you learn the game, and even when I took the job, I don't know if I was ready, but thank God, for my guy. Thank God for Guy Ripple. Coach Rip was my mentor, and I was fortunate enough to get him to come on board, and he taught us all how to do it. So I don't think one guy can be the one that can do it, but I know West A wouldn't be where West A is without Guy Ripple.
When you left West Allegheny and you went to Mount Lebanon, you were there for 4 seasons, including a perfect season where you went, I believe, 15-0. You won the Whitfield, which would have been your 9th Whitfield title as a coach, and then your 2nd overall state championship. Was it gratifying to see that your system and the way you do things could work somewhere else? And I guess it's kind of a no-brainer, right? If it works at one place, it can work at the other place. But it's still nice to see that the results show that.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, again, got timing. Sometimes everything. Sometimes you got to have a little luck, but again, it's the same thing. The kids got to know you care about them, man. If they don't know that you care about them, and because you got to coach them hard, and sometimes that's hard for kids, and that's new for kids. But again, if they know that at the end you have their back and you understand them, I think it makes that process that it can be a grueling process. It helps that process speed up a little bit. And we were fortunate. We had great parents at Lebo, and a great group of kids. I mean, it was like the perfect storm. It was awesome. Just a great community, and just everything about it was so cool. And it was, they were, you came in, and I said, hey, look, here's the plan. Let's do this, and shoot, all they did was listen and go to work. And the parents were honest to God, they were awesome. The parents here were awesome too, but I mean, it happened so fast. And, it was funny because my 3rd year at West Allegheny, we won the first Whitfield championship in school history. And then it was funny because in the 3rd year at Lebo, we won the Whitfield and happened to, win the state championship. But it's that it just takes sometimes it takes a little bit of time to work your magic and sprinkle that dust that makes these kids want to play.
After Mount Lebanon, you went to Penn State for 3 seasons, and I was reading about, and we have a mutual friend, J.R. Mangan, who
Yep.
works here in North Fayette Township. Everybody loves J.R. You had a job with Penn State where you were kind of like helping James Franklin recruit. You were looking at high school players and helping recruit. Was that your job there?
Well, my title was director of high school relations, but I was more player development. So I was in the weight room all the time. Coach would usually run the offensive practice. I ran the defensive practice. So it was just a great scenario where, I got to spend most of my time with the kids. My office was in the weight room. So, I'd be there anytime the kids were there, I was there. I happened to know most of the coaches in Pennsylvania, so that also helped. That was where that whole recruiting thing came in. But really and truly, it was player development, and it was with just be there for the kids, really.
So, Coach Bob Palko joining us. He's back at West Day this year. We're going to look at their schedule here in a minute. But going in now, you're back to the Whitfield, and your record: 249 wins, 87 losses, 9 Whitfield titles, 2 state championships. And I looked this up, Coach. I thought to myself, Coach has got to be one of the winningest coaches in Whitfield history. And sure enough, you're in the top 5. Jim Render, who
Coach Render, good friend.
Yeah, he's number 1 with 406 wins. Joe Hamilton with 342 wins. He coached at Midland, New Brighton, Hempfield, and Blackhawk.
Yeah, most of his was at Blackhawk. Yeah, they were in our conference. Used to go against Coach Hamilton all the time. In fact, I work out with his son 3 times a week, so it's pretty cool.
George Novak, 306 wins. Steel Valley and Woodland Hills. You had some pretty epic battles with Woodland Hills back in the day.
Oh, yeah. Great, good man. You're talking great people so far.
And then the one guy ahead of you, and this guy's on your schedule and in your conference this year, Bill Cherpak at Thomas Jefferson. He's next on the win list, and he's got 10 Whitfield titles, the most ever. And you're right behind him. That's where you come in 5th, 9 Whitfield titles, and the 249 wins. So that's a list of winners. And how about the fact that you and Coach Cherpak get to be in the same conference this year? I don't know if you're excited about that or if, I guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good friends. We're really close. We've known each other a long time. In fact, we play TJ here. So I told Coach Chirp that I'd have a rocking chair on his sideline, and I'll put a rocking chair on my sideline. And but just, what a good man. He runs a great program, and that's the thing that's kind of cool. Is all those guys you talked about. I have there's just so much respect and so much admire, and you try to do. Shoot, like you said, Coach Render, we scrimmage them and play them, but somebody you looked up to, Coach Hamilton, somebody you looked up to, Coach Novak, somebody you looked up to, and and Chirp and I, we're pretty much the same age, but he did the same. I promise you talk to him, he'll say the same things. You learn from the best, and you try to do what's best by kids, but it's it's pretty neat to the people that you get to meet along the way, and I've had the opportunity to meet some pretty cool people, and they're just great men.
They've really changed they keep changing up the conferences. Since you left the Whitfield, it's changed a couple times. Towards the end of your career, they were changing it up. It used to be like geographic, right? The Parkway Conference, where you were playing everybody up the Parkway. And I look at you're in 5A, Section 3, and you got Bethel Park, Peters Township, Thomas Jefferson, Trinity, and Upper St. Clair. I would say at least that's kind of going south of you a little bit. Not so. They put you together with some teams those aren't really far road trips, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. There's only so many ways they can do it. So, you
Right.
know, um,
I think
and
one of
then
the
and
yeah.
no, I just said so many ways, and it just happens that that's a meat grinder right there.
Talk about those programs, all those programs there. I mean, we already talked about Thomas Jefferson with Bill Chirpak, but you got Upper St.
Yeah,
Clair, Peters Township.
yeah,
They're always tough, and then Bethel Park and Trinity. And let's just a good time to look at your schedule because we're coming up on football season. And Coach, thanks for taking
yeah,
time with us here
yeah.
on the podcast. You open up your season on August 28th at home versus a familiar foe. They're not in your conference anymore, but for years they were, probably decades. Chartiers Valley is your
Yep,
home opener.
yep,
And then you
yep.
go on the road to Pine Richland, and that has become one of the big, fastest growing, biggest school districts in probably all the Whippeal now.
Yeah, yeah. Coach Ladon is, he's got it rolling right now, and yeah, I'm sure they're not worried about us.
Then you take on Gateway at Montour. Montour was in your conference for a long
Yeah,
time.
that
They're
was a
not.
big rival back in the days. Yeah, yeah. They're still in 4A, but obviously, from what I understand, they're supposed to be very talented group.
And then at Moon, another familiar foe
Another
from when you
rival.
coached
Yeah,
at
they're
Whippeal.
just yeah, they're 5A, but they're in the other conference. They're in the one up north.
And then you play at home against Bethel Park. You get to play Thomas Jefferson at home. Then on the road at Peters Township, on the road at Trinity, and then you finish up at home versus Upper St. Clair. That's 10 games. How many of those do you think you need to win to get to the playoffs?
No idea. I'm one at a time. No, I'm not. Nope. No way. I ain't answering that question.
No crystal ball over
No,
there in your
no
office.
crystal ball. Nope. Nope. One game at a time. 1 week at a time. It's I mean, I'm truly is. It's like being in that schedule's like being in the Big Ten. It's crazy.
That's a tough
It's
one.
crazy. It's like it is. There's no there's no game that you can just take a breath and go. I mean, you better play or you're gonna you're gonna get embarrassed. So really good, great conference, great coaches, great programs. And so we have our work cut out for us.
So this is a welcome back to the Whippeal coach
Yeah.
schedule this year for you.
Oh yeah, it was whoever they appreciate you. But hey, listen, you know what I mean? It is what it is. I mean, that you can only do so much. It's not like it is,
Right.
it's football. It's Western PA. So, strap them up and, hold on because it's not going to be easy. But, it is what it is.
I like that even though they've been moving teams around, you were able to get a lot of those traditional rivals for West A out of
Yeah.
the schedule.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, those are great, should be great gates, and again, you look at those teams, most of those teams travel well. So, that's truly what was really exciting about football in Western Pennsylvania. Friday nights were awesome. They were it was just such an event wherever you went. I mean, then um and it's that's the thing that you want to honor the game and honor this area, and that's why this is not a hobby. These guys that are coaching now, they're just not you just don't do this as a hobby. This is a lifestyle. And that's what those guys do. With the hours and time that these guys spend away from their families is incredible. So um, it's just, obviously, I know in my case, it's my wife. She's a football wife, so she understands the time that you got to spend away, and the time you got to spend with the program, and thank God that she's cool with it.
Your son Tyler played for Pitt. He was quarterback there, and he got to play with a guy named Larry Fitzgerald, who was
Yeah.
inducted into the NFL Hall of Fame this past weekend. I heard a story. Can you confirm? I mean, that Larry Fitzgerald may or may not have stayed at your home one time overnight.
Uh,
One night, is that true?
No, a couple times. Yeah, Larry's very, he's like a son. Um, and him and Tyler are still best friends, and we were fortunate to be invited to this past weekend, and it was truly special. It was a special day. I've never been to the Hall of Fame induction before, um, but I had to, obviously with Larry being inducted, and obviously with Tyler, his first team he played for was with New Orleans, and I think he actually stayed with Drew for a while. So having Drew Brees in and Larry in, so yeah, it was quite a it was truly special, truly special.
He was, and that time when they were here playing, I think I read an article this week that said, looking back at Larry Fitzgerald's career, and your son was a part of that. He was the one throwing the ball to him for some of those years. They said, looking back, he probably should have been the Heisman Trophy winner, because he really was amazing.
Well, I think he finished second.
Yeah. So he wasn't far off.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He was. Yeah, but again, you talk about him as a player, but it's really and truly it's Larry as a person that excites you, and how his mom and dad raised him, and you know, unfortunate that his at least his pops knew that he got it in the Hall of Fame. He passed a few months ago, and so that was hard. But Larry held it together and did an unbelievable job, as we all knew he would, and the class that he handles himself with. But it was yeah, it was pretty cool to be a part of.
So when I would have you on the radio all those times over the years, occasionally I'd ask you a question like this: who are Palko's favorite country singers? There's got to be one or two on your playlist over there at the Palko headquarters.
I kind of like country music, but I'm an R&B guy.
Are you
Yeah.
an R&B? Who's your R&B singer?
I mean, how can you go wrong with Luther, a little Luther, and when
I
Luther
knew
was
you were going to say Luther Vandross. Here and now.
yeah. Hey, I've always been a smooth R&B guy.
There you go. Okay.
So, but I like the newer country music more than the older
Oh,
country. When I used to when I was in Montana, when they were playing all that I don't even know the name of that
country
when it
and
was
Western music.
yeah,
Cowboy
yeah,
music.
the cowboy music. Yeah, I was that was yeah, yeah. But hey, to each his own. And but
I know you're busy with West A and you're back, and I'm wrapping this up here. But Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy, did you ever think that you would see the day that they would be the coach and the quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers?
it's amazing. You never know what happens, and I know, like with Mike being from Pittsburgh and now having the honor to be the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, my man is truly honored to be here, to be back home and represent the Pittsburgh Steelers, and to do it like there's not many people that hold that position in that regard. So just Coach Tomlin was awesome. Got to know him very well, and but to see Mike, and see I don't know. I just there's so much pride there that he just doesn't want to let the city down. So I wish him the best of luck, and obviously Aaron, and and then obviously Drew Aller. I spent 3 years with him up at Penn State, and he's a credible young man. I mean, he's awesome. So hey, you wish them well.
And that'll be the big question, right? Let's just say Aaron Rodgers stays healthy all year, and I hope he does. I think it could be an amazing season. But even if he does, the big question is who's going to be the quarterback next, because he said this is his last year.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, Mike's the quarterback whisperer, so that he'll give him time to develop, and I'm sure they have that guy there.
Yeah, I mean, they got the Penn State quarterback. You mentioned Drew Aller, and then the year before they picked up the Ohio State quarterback, Will Howard.
And Will's he's a Pennsylvania kid too. He's from Philly.
That's right. That's right.
You know,
Yeah.
Drew grew up in Cleveland, and so yeah, it's pretty cool.
But you brought him over from the dark side to PA.
Yeah. Yes.
All right. Last question, Coach. How does it
Yeah.
feel to be back in West Allegheny as the coach?
That's I mean, people ask me all the time. A very, you know, uh, it's very humbling to be back. Very grateful. I'm very grateful. I don't take any day for granted. Um, I try to do the best every day for these kids in the program and the guys that came before these guys. That's what I'm trying to explain to these kids. It's the people that came before them that come back, and they need to honor with their effort and their how their unity and their teamwork and things of that nature. So just very, very grateful and very humbled, and again, you know gotta have, I mean, and with the schedule, I mean, God bless America. I mean, Jesus, it'll be. You better buckle up because it's gonna be interesting.
Well, with a schedule like that, you're going to find out, what you guys got this year, right?
You
That's the
ain't
fun
kidding.
part.
Amen. Amen.
Coach, thank you for your time and best of luck this season.
Danger. Thanks very much. Thanks for having me. Anytime, you know that, and just very honored to hang out with you for a little bit today.
All right. Welcome back, Coach. We'll talk again soon.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks, Danger.